Peace and love for the cat people. I didn't think you left Warwick.
I don't like to leave Warwick unless I have to.
Bananas.
75 yards from shore and come across a great white shark.
75 yards?
He calls himself a Swiftie. Unbelievable. Every single day went and got hot wieners my entire senior year.
Oh, yeah.
You're not even qualified to vote on this.
I want to know what the people think. They're trying to sell the house.
Ding, ding, ding. Winner, chicken dinner.
Welcome to episode 17 of Shootin the SHT, Real Banter with Nick and JT from the Slocum home team. Brought to you by Shore and Bank. Welcome to the show. We have a guest here, Cara Millett. Welcome to the show, Cara.
Thanks, Nick.
Absolutely. Happy to have you here. How's it going, John?
Going well. How about you?
Doing well. I'm going to try to get through here today. I'm just getting over a cold. Had a little conference cold coming back from Florida. And the voice is not on point today, so I'm not going to have the old... who's the guy?
I think you sound raspy and cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Not the typical Morgan Freeman from Shawshank Redemption.
I don't
going
think
on.
you've
wouldn't
ever
go that
sounded
far.
like Morgan Freeman, or would you ever sound like Morgan Freeman?
I'll do my best. You know, a little bit of a Michael Jordan Game 6 flu game going on right now. I feel better, but it's just all kind of right there, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is what it is.
That's a stretch.
I can't believe you haven't gotten sick. I mean, I started feeling crappy Tuesday night last week.
You just want me to get sick.
No, I
You've
don't.
said
But
this like
literally,
5
we were
times.
next to each other for like 7 straight days.
Yeah?
Very, very close. And I don't know.
I'm so happy I'm in this closed room with you guys.
I'm feeling much better now. So.
My house is a petri dish. We had the flu over Christmas. I'm hoping I'm just building up some immunity here.
Absolutely. So we flew down last Saturday. Was it last Saturday? Yeah, it was last Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And not this past Saturday, the one before.
Yeah.
And just one behind us, absolutely just hacking up along the entire time from here to Atlanta. Follow up, boss. That's one. Did you not turn your notifications off?
I did.
John? Or was
My
that mine?
computer's silenced.
We go through this every time, Cara.
I believe
It
it.
was
Why'd you not disturb
Single
us on?
time.
so that turned out to be a woman on the plane. Before we even got on the plane, we're in the airport and Nick disappeared. And I couldn't find him. And I noticed this girl walked by me and I was like, oh my God, she looks like she's about to like fall down. And then I look at my phone and Nick texted me and he goes, I had to walk away. That woman just keeps pacing back and forth and she looks like she's about to die. And so he ran away because he didn't want to get whatever she had. And she's like sniffling and sneezing. We're like, okay, she's going to be right next to us on the plane. It turns out she was diagonally behind us, one row. But then the people behind us, as Nick was saying, were just like the whole time. It sounded like they were coughing up their insides.
It was gross. Absolutely gross.
That's brutal.
Yep. Anyway, so we just got back and John made do. He paid off one of his steak dinner bets. We had a lovely steak dinner at Old Hickory Steakhouse.
It was a very nice dinner.
It was.
Good time.
It was. Had a nice Wagyu ribeye. John picked the wine. I didn't take him to the cleaners on that.
It was a good cab.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Yeah.
So it was a good way to pay off that bet.
Yeah.
Because rates never hit anything in the 5s last year. We had a year-long bet. And
So close.
one
did
day
get
you were
close.
very
One day was
On
so
one day,
close.
Yes.
It got so close, he asked how I wanted my steak.
It was,
And then they just...
I think it was like August, maybe in July.
I think it was later than that.
Was it? It was like September, October?
Yes.
Yeah. And I was on the golf course. It was a Wednesday night league. I won't forget it. I was walking down the 5th fairway. And John sent me a screenshot of the average 30-year on Mortgage News Daily, and it was 6.03. And it was on a downward trend that I'm like, I am done for. Mm-hmm. And little did we know that it
That was the low.
was about to just completely rebound the opposite direction.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Everyone remembers where they were when the rates almost hit the 5s. He goes, I remember I was on the 5th fairway.
it was a
It
monument.
was slightly breezy north by northwest winds.
A
About
north
55
wind
degrees
at
out.
that time of year is rare. Usually it's out of the south, southwest.
Excuse
so
me.
Just
Sorry.
wanted to make sure you were aware.
Thank you.
Yep. Which means that hole often does play a little bit downwind, kind of off the left a little bit. Yeah.
We're still okay. Cool.
Okay. Anyway. Sorry, Cara. So anyway, let's jump into the interview. Can you share a little bit about your background, Cara, and what led you to join Shore and Bank?
Sure.
Sensor on your pants.
Yeah, you did. I was wondering where that came from. It's like, is it coming from the ceilings? Yeah, so I actually studied clinical exercise physiology in college. I thought that was the route that I was going to go. And after I graduated, I got into the coaching world, quickly realized that is tough to make a living at the level that I was at.
Coaching basketball, right?
Basketball, college basketball, yep. So then I jumped into the real estate world in Boston, and that's what sort of caught my attention. So I did that for 2.5 years. Went back to school, got my MBA from Providence College, and then realized I wanted to kind of be more in that world. So I entered shortly after into the mortgage industry. Yeah.
What year was this?
That would have been 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Good
that's when all you had to do was pick up the phone,
Yeah.
and business was there. But luckily for me, I started with a company that trained us very differently. So I learned the world of prospecting a little differently than I think some people that jumped in during that time.
Sure. That's awesome. Now, are you a PC fan because you get your MBA there? Or?
No.
Oh, who's your team?
Definitely not.
I mean, I'm a terrier at heart. Okay. I'm a BU terrier through and through. I mean, it's a different level, but it's still, fun.
Now, you played for BU, right?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep.
What position?
Center.
Center.
No. That's what I tell everyone when they ask me that question. I had no choice, Nick. It was point guard. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My little one's playing now, as I've told you, and she's on the smaller side now. We'll see how that shakes out. But I'm like, she's fast, she's small, left-handed. A little bit like a Jalen Rose.
Lefties. Love lefties.
Absolutely. So
I tried to break my right hand or wrist when I was younger so that I'd have a cast and I'd work on my left hand.
You tried to break your right hand.
Yeah, I wanted to. Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
That's commitment.
That was like a strategy. It didn't happen though.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You could have just used your left hand.
I could have, right? Yeah. But it was I was like heavy right-handed and I just couldn't get it out of that hand.
That's tough.
You didn't want to give yourself an option.
That's
You wanted to
right.
force yourself to
See?
use your left hand.
That's exactly
I've been
right.
brushing my teeth with my left hand as of late to become
Ooh, there you
ambidextrous.
go.
This is something that I've taken on recently.
That's why your breath smells so bad lately?
He's not getting it
Got me,
done.
ladies and gentlemen.
Just kidding. Nate has some wonderful breath.
Thank you. Well, Cara could probably tell you.
Okay.
It's A-okay.
Hey.
I'm more worried about the germs floating around in the room.
No, it's Cara, right?
I haven't.
What?
It's Cara, right?
Yes. Why is he saying it?
He's saying like Cara. And I'm
Well,
It's a little bit more exotic, but I can say Cara. I can call you by your real name if you want.
Kara
I'm
with
like,
a
I've been calling Cara the wrong name for 16 years.
yeah, for that. Well, you know what I have found? Karas with a C are amenable to however you pronounce it.
Okay.
Karas with a K want to be called Cara.
Ah, okay.
I've also found that.
Yeah.
So they're
right?
Karens.
My intense study.
So I'm flexible.
Okay.
You can call me Malay, Millet.
Oh.
Now, is it Millet or Millet?
I say Millet.
That's what I thought.
Many people say Malay.
Okay.
It's very French.
Okay.
Now, are you aware that millet with one T is a type of grain?
I am.
Have you ever had millet?
I have not.
Neither have I. Let's move on.
All right, Carol.
Because I used to say Millet. And now I heard you say it. And I'm like, oh, it's Millet.
I've always said millet.
Well, I think early on I learned I was saying it wrong for a while. I
Well,
was like,
nothing's wrong.
Okay.
It's been a long time.
It has been. Yeah, certainly has been. I'm sure we'll get into that. So I met Cara, one of my first listings that I ever sold. I think it was my first listing I ever sold. And she had the buyer on that listing. And I probably didn't know my ass from my elbow. But anyway, she was very nice and said, oh, you did a great job on that listing. And we went out for lunch or coffee. I don't recall which it was. But we started working together shortly thereafter. And it was a wonderful, wonderful relationship. So it's awesome.
I probably didn't know my ass from my elbow.
Too funny. It was Airway Road. Never forget that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Back right up to the train tracks.
Cara's always done a great job. We've worked together for, God, probably 10, close to 15 plus years, like you said.
Sure.
Done our personal loan. So always does an awesome job.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So, Cara, what would you say sets you apart as a lender, and how do you make the financing process as smooth as possible for clients?
So, I would say that I do think that I look at all options for clients. Sometimes to my detriment, I really dive in and try to figure out their best option based on their circumstance. A lot of times lenders are kind of just looking for maybe the easiest path or the most profitable path. I'm not really looking that way. I'm trying to build a relationship with this client. A lot of times first-time home buyers will buy their second, third home using me. And that's my goal. I am a bit type A with my communication with my clients, and so I think that helps. Sometimes people don't really care to be communicated with as much as I do, but I don't think they discourage it. And then I think first-time home buyers appreciate it because every term is new to them. The process is new. So I really try to dive into that with them and not forget that, it's a brand new experience for them.
Cool. How do you believe in communication for realtors? I know the answer, but for our audience.
Communicating with the realtor that's on the transaction. Yeah. So, for instance, this morning, I have a transaction going with Kelly, first-time home buyers. We submitted the file. We got the thumbs up after inspection period on Friday. So file got submitted, appraisal ordered, title ordered. I already have the loan approval. And so I communicated with the buyers and the realtor, Kelly, that we have the loan approval. And the next step will be the appraisal. So I tried to communicate with the realtor on every step so that they're not left to wonder where we're at with the process.
I think you do a great job at that. I've had loan officers on either side of that, of ones who don't communicate barely at all, and other ones who communicate way too much.
Too much.
I don't need to hear from you every day. Tell me when the important things are going on, what you need from me, where we're at, and then if I know you're a great lender like Cara, and you tell me we're good to go, then I can put my head on the pillow at night and rest easy. And she does a great job at that.
Absolutely.
I would say also my management maybe would critique my communication with respect to prospecting business out of realtors. I feel like if I've established a relationship with that realtor, there's no need to hound them. They're going to pass my name as long as they, I'm top of mind in other ways. Sure. But you're not going to get a text with me checking in, because that check-in text is really like, do you have any business for me? Yeah. And that's just not how I operate. Yeah. And again, some people would be critical of that.
I get one every Friday night from one, and it's like, I'm sure there's some good information there at times, but it's like 5 paragraphs long. And I can't even respond. It's just like, come on.
the last thing you want to do at that time.
Yeah, like I'm having pizza with my family right now. Like I don't need to read your prospecting text message here.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do they tell you they're working that weekend?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that's common.
I love it. All right, awesome. So what are some of the most common financing challenges that buyers face today? And what practical advice would you have for overcoming those challenges?
I would say overall we're seeing credit scores be a bit lower than in the lending world ideally we would want. And that's, don't get me wrong, we can get clients qualified for low credit scores, but in this environment, the rates are tough. And then the additional conditions that come with that. So I often encourage agents to get me their client early so that I can pull credit, review credit, give them advice. I think credit is something that's not taught at all. Mm-hmm. So people really don't understand the game, and it is in fact a game, because the credit scoring model and the way that it's done is so antiquated, and people don't know how to do it. So people don't understand to use your credit card. Really, debit card should not be used. It does nothing for your credit score. So a credit card can be used like a debit card as long as you're diligent enough to pay that off. And there's little tricks that you can do. Sometimes people have 4 or 5 credit cards. They're maxed out past that 50%. I'll give them the advice on how to get that score up. So I would say the credit scores can be challenging because if there is a problem, it's not a quick fix. So sometimes that client will come to you, you'll work with them, and then they sort of lose steam because they feel like it's too daunting to fix, when in fact it isn't.
Yep. I know one thing I often talk to buyers about is, hey, listen, even if you're looking 3 months out, 6 months out, 12 months out, talk to Cara now. Mm-hmm. Figure out if you're in a good place, great. You're in a good place. But if you do need to repair something or fix something or improve your track in any way, like she just mentioned, it's better to get on top of that sooner rather than later. So I definitely always think there's a ton of value in that.
I was going to say the same thing. That's so important. We'll talk to buyers and they'll say, oh, I'm not ready to talk to a lender yet. I'm working on my credit score. But they don't know the right things to do. So I always say, please talk to Cara, because then she can look at your overall picture and tell you what things to do to get your credit score up in a timely manner.
Yeah, and a lot of people, the only access they have to what they think is their credit score is Credit Karma or something like that. And that's a consumer report, very different than what we see. So traditionally, I see probably a 30 to 40 point swing in their favor. And then when I pull it, it's not quite the same. So taking a look at that. And then I always advise clients to monitor their credit, because with what's going on with credit fraud and such, they can go on freecreditreport.com. And I tell people to pull from one of the bureaus every 4 months. And so you spread it out so that over a course of a year, you've now checked on your credit yourself to make sure no other credit cards have been opened that you're not aware of. And you can monitor that. It's not going to give you a credit score, but it's going to at least tell you what you have actively open and that it is in fact yours. So that's a little trick that people do too.
Great advice.
I get CreditWise, I think through Capital One.
Same.
Is that good?
It's going to be similar to a consumer. Okay. I mean, it might be a bit closer because it is coming from Capital One, but.
Great. So, Cara, for agents just starting out, how can they build a strong relationship with a lender to close more deals? Is there any golden advice you wish someone had told you when you started?
Golden advice. Oh, God. Maybe build a really good relationship with a hairdresser because you're going to have lots of gray hair. No, I mean, I think communication is the key. I think agents early on think they need to know everything. And so some agents jump in thinking they also have to know the finance side. And I always strongly encourage them that you don't have to, maybe know the basics, but guidelines are constantly changing, and there's no way that you're possibly going to stay up on that.
Stay in your lane, right? Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you have your own stuff that's changing, that you have to stay up on. So leaning on a lender for that information, and a lot of times agents will forget to kind of circle back and say, hey, what's going on with this? And so I try to do a good job of informing people of these changes, but not inundating them with it.
That's awesome. One thing I always tell new agents too is don't be afraid to not know the answer. It's better to be honest with people and be, hey, listen, either that's not my avenue, it's not my expertise, or hey, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I want to make sure I'm giving you the best advice possible. Let me look into that and get back to you in an hour.
Yeah.
And then lean on the people who've been in the business for 18, 20, 25 years, 30 years, whatever it might be. Find the right answer and get back to them. I think people respect that more than you trying to wing the answer and potentially giving incorrect information, So it's super critical to be confident enough to say, hey, listen, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one, but I want to make sure I'm giving you the best advice possible. Let me look into that a little bit more, do a little bit more digging, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Yeah. So, cool. Cara, how have your day-to-day responsibilities as a lender evolved throughout your career? What's one change in the lending and real estate industry, I should say, that you think caught everyone by surprise?
Well, so my daily tasks have evolved. When I first started, I was, hands-on in the sense that everything was face-to-face. And as you know, as technology has evolved, that doesn't happen as often. COVID had a huge impact on that as well. Even a lot of lenders I don't think attend the closings. For a period when we weren't allowed to, didn't, but now I attend all my closings. But the golden advice I would say is, how you approach each client is going to be different. I think when I first started, I sort of thought like, this is the box and I got to make it fit in here. And that's not always true. A lot of times now with lending, there's non-QM loans where, I did one with a client who clearly could afford the condo they were buying, but it just didn't reflect on their tax returns. So we pivoted to a bank statement loan. So that's sort of evolved over the last 5, maybe even 8 years, we're starting to see some of that happen. But I think that was a good pivot, right? So that, I mean, all of us welcomed that. So I don't think it blindsided us. I think we were happy to have that option.
That's great. Speaking of pivots too, and I wasn't here for this, so I'm hearing this secondhand. But I heard a quick story about you working with one of our agent's clients, and you had to pivot or decided to pivot. I think taking one of the spouses off of the loan to get a lower rate or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Do you want to share that story real quick?
Yeah. So a lot of times clients right now, at least, and I don't know if that will change with the new administration, but right now the focus is on first-time home buyers and how we can get them into homes. So there's incentives from lenders within certain buckets. And a lot of times the lenders are like, take the application, submit it. Oh, this is what we get. Instead of looking at, okay, can I peel this person off, whether it be husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, to make them fit into this bucket where they're going to get a better rate, because there's certain income limits that will allow that. So I talked them through, because they were first-time home buyers, so they were confused and worried about him not being on the loan and what that impact would be.
Still get him on the deed and all that.
Yeah, and so we talked about that. They felt comfortable, and it gave them a huge advantage. The quotes that they were getting, I think, some were half a point higher.
Wow, that makes a big difference.
Big difference.
That's awesome.
Cara, if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about the real estate financing process, what would it be?
Oh, God. The financing process. I would say the paperwork. So I do know that there are some companies out there that have the ability to pull in the documents themselves. That would be incredible if I could kind of add that to the piece. It exists. Not a lot of lenders do it, I think probably for security purposes.
Yeah.
But that would be incredible, because a lot of times the buyers get overwhelmed with that piece of things.
Sure.
It depends, I work with a lot of military clients. It's like easy peasy. They have everything filed away perfectly. And then other clients are just not as organized. And so that feels very daunting to them. Yeah. And there's nothing I can do to make it any easier, because I'm relying on them to get that.
Right.
Makes sense. All right, awesome. Let's get into some fun off-the-wall questions. So if you could be the CEO of any company, other than Shore & Bank, of course, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's an easy question for me. So have you ever heard of Asher House?
I think I have, but I don't know what it is.
So he's a gentleman that started, and really I think through being, social media has been able to expand, but he's rescues dogs, and he lives out in Oregon, I believe. He bought like a huge farm, and he's got ridiculous amounts of dogs, like over 200.
Wow.
And they just like roam
dogs.
the land. They go on these walks. So I would have one in the Northeast, like a huge farm, and
That's
just
cool.
rescue as many dogs.
How many dogs do you have? I know you had some.
I only have 2. I've learned my lesson. 3, you become a pack. Everything changes. They feel like they need to protect you when you're just walking down the street. 2, it's very doable.
Still labs?
Wow.
A yellow lab, who's my crazy. It's funny how the purebreds are always the crazy ones. And then I have a mutt, who is a mostly treeing Walker Coonhound.
Okay.
He's actually a very cool dog.
Cool.
My wife and I have decided that when we retire, we're going to have a miniature Schnauzer farm.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we want to do
They're
something
very
similar.
In New Hampshire?
In England.
Oh, you're going to England?
We want to go to
geez.
England.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'll come visit
Yeah.
if you'll
It'd be
have
so
me.
cool.
You're going to need a guest house for
Of
Nick.
course I'll have you. As long as you drop the accent before you arrive.
Oh, we didn't even tell you, dude. We
It's
played
terrible.
golf down in Florida,
Yeah.
and we got paired up. It was John and I, and it poured Sunday afternoon. We played in the rain.
Right.
And we got paired up with 2 guys from England, from London. And it was fantastic. It was 18 holes of a wonderful accent and some interesting one-liners. What was the one? There
Some
was one that we
banter.
both started laughing. There was a lot. He said banter a lot.
Is it banter? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
What do you say? You fit a bit of wood in
You
there?
hit a bit of wood there.
You guys are like, oh, your
We look at each
accents
other
are so
like, oh,
funny.
man.
Super nice guys, though. Super nice guys. So that was fun.
All right, Cara, quick fire favorites. What is your go-to movie?
Oh God. Go-to movie.
Sorry.
Or your favorite?
I'm gonna sound like a real weirdo, but it's a Christmas movie.
That's okay.
that's
We
all
love
right.
Christmas movies.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
I've not watched
I'm
that one.
sorry.
You have a film guy next to you.
Once again?
Uh-oh.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. It's a Jim Henson
I've never.
like original. You can see the strings from the
Really?
puppets, but it's
It's magical.
I think
A
Nate
movie
has
that
homework.
Nate hasn't heard of?
I've never even heard of it.
you got to check it out.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. I mean, I'll watch anything Jim Henson.
You'll love it.
So I'm sure it's like very magical and like heartwarming.
Totally.
But a little bit janky with the strings and stuff. I like that kind of stuff. Kind of like the claymation Rudolph, like how it's a little bit weird and
And
like
you know how
stilted.
their hands are all like dirty from
Yes.
the people moving their hands. Yeah, you
That's
see
cool.
a bit of that.
Yeah, nice.
All right, what is the book you recommend to everyone?
Water for Elephants.
Oh,
Water for Elephants. Okay.
Yeah.
it's a good movie. I haven't read the book
Yeah.
yet though.
And how about the musical artist who's always on your playlist?
Ooh, Brandy Carlisle.
Nice.
Randy
What's
Carl.
your hot take on Taylor Swift?
You know, I appreciate her.
Yeah.
I am not a Swiftie,
Okay.
but there is an appreciation there because she's kind of badass.
Oh, she definitely is badass.
Yeah,
Gotta respect it, right?
totally.
We're converted Swifties.
Are you?
Oh, big time.
converted?
Are we
Wow.
both converted? You're converted.
I can see
JT's
you.
been
You couldn't even name the
original.
eras, buddy. So I don't even know if you're a Swiftie yet. You're a poser, is what you are.
Oh,
But
you would
Wait,
think
do I
I
have
would be
something to
right with two girls. Neither one will jump on the bandwagon.
Really?
They're resisting it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who's
So-
that?
my
Lily,
children.
They won't do it?
No,
Wow.
they're resisting it, and they have friends that are
Big time.
big time Swifties.
So Lily broke her leg 2 summers ago on the 4th of July, and went in, had to get it reset and put under and the whole 9 yards. It was disgusting. And she came out of that, and the first thing she said was, "Dad, can you put on Taylor Swift?" And it wasn't even like a Swiftie, but we had to put Taylor Swift on our phones to have her listen to Taylor Swift because she requested it, coming out of anesthesia, and then was obsessed. For some reason, I don't know why I did it. And she was obsessed. Then Lucy became obsessed, and then it's been in my car nonstop ever since. We went to London this summer to see Taylor Swift with the girls. So,
A
Wow.
lot of fun.
So you are big time.
oh yeah,
That is where he picked up the worst British accent you will ever hear.
I think it might be the best accent. I mean, practically people didn't know I was a foreigner when I
All
was
right.
walking around there.
Anyways,
So-
so
Foreigner,
Cara,
Sounds Australian half the time. It's unbelievable.
it did. It sounded Australian.
You're like, good eye, mate. How you going, Dan?
Sorry.
Welcome to London.
All right, last question. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received? How has it shaped your approach to life, work, or even just how you see the world?
I would say, I often say this line. This may be controversial. I don't know. We'll see. I say this a lot to my children, but I often say you need to fake it to make it, right? So there's a period of time in everything you do, right, where you're not the best, but nobody else needs to know that.
Yeah.
Or you're in an uncomfortable situation. Like I'm at that stage with my kids. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old, and they're, the social stuff going on for the girls. And so sometimes I'm like, you just got to fake it to make it. Just fake it to make it and get through the next step. And so sometimes people think that you shouldn't do that, but I live and die by that.
I think it boils down
Yeah.
to confidence. You have to have confidence, and if you don't, whether it's in business or life, I think it's going to be exploited personally, So
A prime example of it working was my daughter. My oldest is a goalkeeper, and she's had some success at the town level. And we were very careful about when we decided to introduce the next level. And last year was that time. Her coach advised her to, and so we jumped into it. And it was very uncomfortable for her. It was just not her comfort zone. And so often I had to remind her as we're going to practice or the next game, you just got to fake it to make it. You're there. And then now it's her favorite thing to do is go to that practice. And so, and she had to deal with uncomfortable social side of it, but then also just not feeling confident in her skill. And both of those have drastically changed. So,
That's awesome.
That's great. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Cara. That concludes the interview portion. You are more than welcome to stay and chop it up in the rest of the podcast.
I kind of want the entertainment, can I?
Let's do it. Yeah. So let's keep it rolling then. So, all right. Thank you. So we'll continue up. So feel free to add color and jump in anytime. So we're jumping into some industry news now, talking about LA and all the devastation out there. So I guess there's been a lot of commentary on the permitting bottleneck over there. John Cordick indicated that permits that once took 6 to 8 weeks now drag on for up to 3 years, while the actual construction of a home can be completed in just about a year and a half to 2 years. So certainly causes by municipalities overwhelm the complex codes, understaffed offices, things along those lines. Certainly have an impact on supply, housing, rents, all those different kinds of things. John, what do you think some of the potential solutions could be? Solve the issues out in LA, John, for me, please.
I think. Oh, yeah. Let me just resolve this right now.
John, just one note of context.
Please do.
John Cordick, the gentleman who's quoted in this article, is an architect, so he deals with the permitting process all the time. So he's in a position of authority on the subject.
I mean, I'm far from an expert out there. I don't even know what the full process is there. My minimal knowledge is from the TV shows that I watch. But in those, it seems like there's a lot. It is. You hear them talk about if they're flipping a house or building a house, it could be years for the permits to come through. I think part of it's probably the engineering that goes into those houses with the size. A lot of them are built on hills. So I think there's engineering. They do have to factor in the safety aspect and the structural integrity of what they're about to do. But they're going to have to figure out a way to expedite the process for these people. As you said, we've heard horror stories of rent prices just skyrocketing because people know supply and demand. But these poor people are left homeless after the devastation.
Nate's going to love this one, but I think one solution here and in a lot of different industries too can be AI. I mean, if you can lean upon codes and artificial intelligence and throwing in applications, and how can you expedite the process through the use of technology, Nate?
Sure.
Thoughts? No? You throw up in your mouth a little bit over there?
No. So there's this ongoing narrative that I hate AI. I'm very cautious about the integration in our life. Yes, I know that is a tool, but when I hear people say things like children are not taking notes by themselves, they're using AI to take notes, they're not absorbing the information. Oh, I need to write a love letter or an email to someone, I'm using AI. It's like you're now subbing out all of your critical thinking skills to AI, and eventually if it continues and people do that all the time, I'm afraid that the ramifications for us as a society means that we will lose a lot of those capabilities and it will be replaced by technology. And I see it glorified a lot in pop culture as well, like those Apple commercials where the wife didn't buy a present for her husband. And so instead she has AI create a slideshow on her phone at the last second. And then it's like, you're a genius, woo. And it's cheering. And it's like, no, you're a wife, in my opinion. But I do think that it is a tool that can be used if it's used responsibly and it's integrated in a way that is safe. But human beings don't have a way of thinking future-proofing technology. In my humble opinion, look at social media, for example.
Hudson God only knows how he finds these things, but Hudson got himself into a new show. It's like Ardo, something like that. And it's like this robot that this house has, which reminds me of like what Elon Musk is trying to come out with robots for the house.
I'll take those.
And it's crazy because this robot is like caring for their infant, doing the laundry, basically doing everything around the house, like home repairs. But it'll look around and then it'll show you the perspective of the robot. And it's like calculating, temperature changing, warm up the baby. And it starts like flashing alarms. But then the bulk of it is just how things go horribly wrong in the house and how the robot is always blamed and has to resolve everything. But it just reminds me of like where we're probably going.
Well, we just got back from Tom Ferry's Elite Retreat Conference, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But he shared a stat that said when doctors are providing diagnoses, then they are 72% accurate. If they use AI, I think they go to 74% accuracy. But if they only use AI and doctors aren't even involved, it jumps up to 92% accuracy. So when there's no bias of any kind and it's strictly based on artificial intelligence, the results have found that it is more accurate than doctors. So when will it become malpractice not to use AI and their critical thinking that Nate is so fond of.
On the reverse side of that, you've got the AI from United Healthcare that denied claims for people. It was 90% inaccuracy rate for cancer patients and people who need life-saving surgery. So it's a little bit of a give and take. Also, I think that with Google AI, a lot of times the information is not even accurate. That's the thing. It's like you still have to parse through the information. So I think it's a promising technology. It is a tool. I do think that work needs to be done, and we need to do it responsibly. But I'm not opposed to it. I think it is the future in a way, and I don't think that it's going to phase out human ingenuity. And it can't. Unless it just replaces all of us, in which case we're boned anyways, right? So it's like
It's going to replace some of us, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I want to try, but I'm also terrified to do what Tom did with his blood work.
Yes.
He said he gets his blood. He gets his blood work taken every
now.
90 days.
Gerald Ferry.
And then he asks for the written results of his blood work.
Yeah.
And he uploads it into ChatGPT and asks it to combine like the best of both Eastern and Western medicine, and to tell him what
That's
he
pretty
should
cool,
do.
actually.
And then he gives
like
that
Batman.
to his nutritionist. Because he was like, on the surface, the number's like, yeah, you're fine. But then it was basically when you dive into it, it's like, oh, but if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be dead in 10 years.
Right.
So then he asked it for solutions and gave that to his nutritionist.
That's great. That's actually pretty cool.
I'm planning on doing it.
You're going to do it?
Absolutely.
I
I'm
wonder
terrified,
though.
but
I
I
wonder
need
though.
to.
Nutritionists usually adopt kind of one or the other. You know what I mean? So integrating both, I think, is smart. But I wonder if you'll come against any opposition. I mean, it's your nutritionist, so
I would say, Nate, too, about having a brain and using AI and becoming too reliant upon it. I do believe a lot of it is, garbage in, garbage out. But if you can become excellent at prompt engineering, it's a time saver and a way to utilize your time more effectively, serve more people, provide better service.
Sure.
So I do believe a lot of it is if you put great information in, you get great information out very quickly and save a ton of time.
Sure.
But certainly if you just rely upon AI, then it is can be a little bit.
I think your concern, right, is what if the children that are growing up now rely so heavily on it, they don't have that critical thinking.
Right.
And you see that. I mean, my 14-year-old can't tell me how to get to her high school. I'm like, how do you not know? Like, I mean, they couldn't read a map. They wouldn't be able to get themselves anywhere. So you're seeing, you see little kids scrolling a magazine because they think it's a screen.
Well, they're coming out with new studies now that show that developmentally children who are exposed to screens, like the iPad kids who are in every grocery store, from like the age of 3 on, they're having developmental issues as far as, because when what a child does when you're born, you have a high amount of neuroplasticity. It means you're able to like learn. Your gray matter is just super active. So when you're a child, you're looking around all the time. That's how you learn. That's how you make sense of the world. It's how you get facial cues and things like that, body language. When you're like this with an iPad in front of your face, as a child, you're not looking around and noticing those things. And so they're finding that children are having problems developmentally. So I think that technology is a great thing. It's very cool. I'm hip to it, but it needs to be tempered and used responsibly, in my opinion.
I'm with him.
Are you guys going to fight?
No, I agree with most of what Nick said.
No.
No, okay. I think we agree with each other. Don't try and turn our feud into no.
Awesome. Back to LA. That's what we were talking about.
How'd that happen?
Just get ready. I mean, we've already we've already experienced numerous challenges in the insurance industry, and this is only going to exacerbate that situation. So we're going to see rising home insurance costs. People ask why. Well, I'm not in LA. And now there's so much. I mean, all these companies are extremely unprofitable. They have been for numerous years in a row. Insurance companies are paying out far more in claims in servicing fees than they are in actually collecting premiums. Now, believe it or not, they are a business. They are not a charity. So it is extremely difficult to make that model work without collecting enough premiums. Now, one other thing that they do too, and circling back to that last point, a lot of these companies write in multiple states. So these national carriers, even though they are writing here now, they may also write in California. But beyond that as well is all these insurance companies buy something called reinsurance. As a way for them to basically insure their book of business. So they're going out and purchasing this additional layer of protection to essentially underwrite their exposure on all of the properties and policies that they write and things along those lines. And wait for reinsurance costs are bad now. Never mind after they're adjusted due to situations like we're seeing out in LA. So this is a challenge that is not going away. Unfortunately, it's going to be something that we have to deal with for a long time coming.
We were seeing regular jumps of 25% or more before the wildfires.
Yeah.
And the scary thing is that so many people are going with no insurance. Like when the hurricane hit the Tampa area at the end of summer, you were hearing that the majority of these neighborhoods didn't have insurance.
Yeah.
And now you had the cancellations in California before the wildfires, and people just weren't getting insurance, and they're left with nothing.
Absolutely. I mean, I see both sides. I feel so bad for all these people. These companies are pulling out, but I mean, again, they're running a business.
Yeah.
They're not the state fair plan. They're not there. And if they're losing money hand over fist, which they are, how can you force somebody to just be there and absolutely, again, just write out checks left and right without having any possibility of actually maintaining anything close to profitability, employing all of your employees. I mean, it's crazy. It absolutely is crazy in my opinion.
The interesting thing I found with that, though, is, as you guys know, if you're trying to secure a policy or a binder and there's a hurricane coming, right? They'll end it. They'll pause it. How are they allowed? They knew that those fires were coming. How are they allowed to cancel the policy for those people? Like how? I don't know.
I would be speaking out of turn. I haven't heard of anywhere it was that quick. I know State Farm pulled out last year in a lot of situations.
To my understanding, it was at least months before. Not after the fire started, but months before. Okay. And again, I don't know this for sure. It's just what I've read in varying articles. And I know people that work for big insurance companies, and they've said that State Farm's taken the brunt of it, but it was actually a number of carriers. And it was that California's regulations and requirements for what they had to do was becoming so strict that they're like, we can't write here anymore. So
some news outlets made it seem like it was while the fires, maybe they were in other areas, but they were then pulling out of areas that ultimately were also
it might be the case. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but
that I would foresee an issue.
Yeah, scary. Some practical advice for local homeowners, John. What do you got?
Just beware. You know that your premiums are likely to increase regardless of your home's condition or who your carrier is. Monitor it. Run the rates. Check every year. Talk to an independent agent like the Slocum Agency. They can check with varying carriers. Also beware when you do switch. Know that an inspection will follow from the new insurance company, so keep that in mind. You don't want to switch to save a few dollars and then have an inspection occur and have to make hundreds or thousands of dollars of repairs. So keep all that in mind. Keep your eye on it, but unfortunately expect rates are going to go up.
There's other ways. We've seen a lot more consumers exploring higher deductibles. I remember when it was a big jump from $500 to $1,000. We're still now seeing a lot of consumers taking $2,500, $5,000 deductibles as a way to offset some premium increases. There's also some things like, quick example at my house is I was able to buy a water detection monitor, put that near my hot water tank, and I saved a couple $100 a year on my policy, and that alarm cost me, I think, $10 on Amazon.
That's
so
great.
there's certain things you can do like that just to trim your overhead a little bit and try to save every nickel you can.
It's a great point. Mine was going to go up this year. It was going to increase a few $100s, and I changed my deductible from $1,000 to $5,000 because I was like, I'm not going to file a claim if it's a couple $1,000s. Yep. And increasing the deductible actually made my policy premium go down instead of up.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. We should have Chris come on and talk about insurance sometime.
We should.
The most stimulating topic.
Circling back, I have been very happy and proud to see many realtors in the area stepping up out in the LA area, organizing community efforts, helping out, even offering up their own rooms in their own houses as temporary housing, packing hygiene kits, raising funds for wildfire victims. So kudos to everyone out there doing everything they can. One cause near and dear to our heart is the Realtor Relief Foundation. There are also many realtors who have been negatively impacted by this, people who rely on obviously the income from that business, which has probably come to a screeching halt if they even have a home. But the Realtor Relief Foundation is available to support local communities and realtors in those communities, and super excited to support that foundation. So that's where we're at on the LA fires.
Before we continue, sorry to interrupt. If you guys want to donate to the Realtors Relief Foundation, text RRFCA strong to 71777 or visit rrf.realtor to make a donation. Thank you.
Thanks, Nate. Dog.
Thank you, Nate.
Awesome. Let's move on to wild card.
All right,
Give
we
me
are
a little
back.
wild card sound.
Yes.
All right, we're back. Wild card. Thanks, Nate. How about you lead the train on this one? So, what do we got?
Okay, cool. So we're gonna go back to a classic format here from I believe it was like in the first 3 or 4
I
episodes.
think it was
something
episode
like that?
1. If I'm not
Episode
mistaken.
1. Yeah.
I miss it.
Overrated versus underrated, the Massachusetts edition. Okay,
We did Rhode Island the first episode.
we did Rhode Island, so
Hot
we'll give it a
wieners
little,
underrated. I had some on Saturday. They were great.
not underrated is the consensus on that.
No.
No, not by any means. All right, so starting off, the city of Boston, Massachusetts. Overrated or underrated? What do we think, fellas? And Cara?
I think underrated. Come on, it's Boston.
Ooh, I have to agree with you. I think underrated as well.
I'm going overrated. Overrated.
Tell us why.
I love Boston, first and foremost. I have so many great memories in Boston. I'm a Boston guy, Boston sports fan, love Boston. It's a pain in the ass to get around. And I wouldn't have said this 10 years ago, but I have been fortunate enough to do a lot more traveling over the last 10 years. And you go to these other cities, and it is like night and day on how
yeah.
you can get around. You know, New York, London, whatever it might be. It's so different. And I'm going to go with overrated due to that fact alone. Like getting from one side to the other is next to impossible, in my opinion. And maybe I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm open to being convinced otherwise. But I mean, I love the North End. I love Fenway. I love all these different things. But I'm going to go with overrated.
Okay.
I was going to go properly rated. I think I love Boston. I've spent a lot of time there. I love all the Boston sports teams and had a lot of food there. I think it's all phenomenal. But I don't think there's any lack of love for Boston out there. I think it has a great reputation. A lot of people say how great it is. So I'm going to say properly rated.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's tough because I have worked in Boston a lot. As you guys know, I've shot some movies out there. I do agree it's a pain in the ass to get around for sure. I
agree
do
with that.
find though every time I go to Boston, there's something new that I find about the city that I to enjoy. I love the brownstones there. I love the history. There's great restaurants. It's big. It's built up. It's nice and clean. Providence we discussed. I'm not the hugest fan of Providence myself, to be honest. I think it's kind of like a lesser version of Boston.
He
but,
can't wait to get out of here.
He's gone.
That's not true. It's not true.
I put a resume, a job application out on
I grew up in
Live Sire or
Massachusetts too, so it's kind of it's in my blood. But no, Providence is all right. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of underrated. I was watching The Equalizer with Denzel Washington, which was filmed in Boston, and I was just thinking about like how little Boston is actually represented in media. You know, you got like LA a lot, New York, other places, but you don't see Boston a ton. And I think there should be more Boston representation. We've got a lot going on here, and
I agree with that.
And and basically the start of our country in the 13 colonies, Massachusetts, one of them. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of underrated, but that's just me.
Okay.
We should get some patriotic music playing in the background there.
Yeah,
I should.
Yeah, soft.
It's like Paul Revere over there.
Yeah. All right, the New England Patriots.
Ooh,
Properly rated.
yeah. How they
fo-
doing right now?
I mean, they stink, but I mean, I think we're on the up and up with Vrabel coming in.
Yeah.
But I do think, it used to be a baseball town. I think it's a football town. It has been for a long time now. I think football drives everything, and I think it's properly rated.
I'm going to go overrated.
Wow.
I'm very concerned about their overall ownership and what they're willing to do, and if they're going to be able to return to relevance. I hope I'm wrong. Love Drake May, love Vrabel, all the recent hires, the whole coaching staff. I think they've made great moves, but it starts at the top. And I have concerns about what ownership is going to invest in the team to get them back to where they need to be.
What do we think?
I actually agree with you.
Ooh.
Nate,
Yeah.
big opinion here coming?
God,
Coming
no.
in hot?
I'd say
He's a Ravens fan. He doesn't get
Yeah,
the way
no,
in.
no, I'm not really a Ravens fan. I'd say properly rated. You know, I think that I stopped watching football because the Patriots kept winning the Super Bowl, and I was like, okay, they're very good. They're very, very good. And then when Brady left, I was like, they're not going to be that good anymore, and I was right.
Fact. All right, next one, dunks. Dunkin' Donuts. What do we got?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Overrated.
Overrated.
Their
Their coffee's not that good.
Their coffee's terrible.
It's not good.
I go to Dunkin' Donuts for Munchkins because husband loves Munchkins, so I'll get him like a little bag of Munchkins. But other than that, overrated. Food's gross. Coffee sucks.
Coffee tastes like the inside of a leather bag.
It's disappointing.
Overrated there too.
100%.
I'm going underrated.
Oh,
Underrated. Dunks is the best.
he's New England trash. Just kidding.
I love Dunks. I'm gonna say like, I don't even mind the coffee. Yeah, it's not. I like Starbucks a little bit more, maybe on the coffee side.
Their coffee's way better.
It's really not. I mean, it's just really not. I mean, for what I want to drink, just give me a nice coffee. And you go around the rest of the country and their coffee stinks. And it's just like, give me a Dunks. Like, I would kill for a Dunks right now, anywhere in the country.
What's your go-to?
My go-to is just like a medium ice with one cream and maybe a little bacon, egg, and cheese.
Really?
And you think the bacon, egg, and cheese is good?
Way better than Starbucks food. Starbucks food is awful. And Dunks
That's
is
a hot take.
way better.
That's a hot take.
Way
I've
better.
never heard anyone say that.
No.
No, I mean, I have a whole kit and caboodle, a house. My whole house agrees with me on this one.
For such a bougie household, I cannot
not
believe
bougie.
the
You have a
words coming out of your
beverage
mouth.
fridge.
Yeah. It's a beverage center.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Whatever. I wish there was a Dunks on twice as many corners as there is now. So underrated.
There's so
Wow.
many there's so many good like whatchamacallit, like artisanal coffee companies now. It's like it blows Dunkin' out of the water. I think Starbucks is kind of like their coffee is better, but it's not that much better in my opinion.
Yes.
Disagree.
There's other coffees that are like way better than both of them. But Dunkin' is just like to me low end of the barrel.
Where
I prefer hot coffee at Starbucks, but
Me
I
too.
prefer iced coffee at Dunks.
Okay. Well, I guess so. Ice dilutes the flavor of something, so that makes sense because the coffee's better.
So this is the other thing. This is one of my gripes with Dunkin', where so Starbucks, when you order a coffee, they fill coffee before ice, and they fill the coffee to a line, so you know you are getting mostly coffee, and it's consistent. At Dunkin', most of the time, they scoop the cup in the ice, fill it over the top,
Yeah.
and then just
use
add a
the
little
app
coffee.
and put less ice. Use the app.
Use the app.
The one challenge with Starbucks.
So mad.
So we're a big
Move to
Starbucks
Seattle.
house, and
Pansy.
so I need Jen to text me her orders if I'm going, or just have her order online because I can't even remember them. They're so long.
Yeah.
And she's on this kick where it's like a caramel macchiato upside down or something like that.
get out of
And I'm like,
town.
what
I'll
does
throw up in
upside
my
down
mouth.
even
Ugh.
mean?
Ugh.
Never mind the sizes. I don't even want to get out.
Oh, the
Venta, Trenta,
venti.
Venta. Well, come on, give me a break on that
Venti
stuff.
Trenta, yeah.
That is a bit ridiculous.
Venti Trenta.
Yeah, I know.
Trenta isn't on the menu. You just need to know it.
It's stupid. All right, next topic. Martha's Vineyard.
Underrated.
Way overrated.
I love.
Way
Hold on.
overrated.
Hold on. I love Martha's Vineyard. Jen and I love going there in
would
the
say
summer.
underrated.
All you hear about is Block Island and Nantucket.
Way
it's
better.
like Martha's Vineyard is forgotten.
Yeah.
I've gone to Block Island is always so crowded and congested.
It's 'cause you don't know where to go.
Jen and I go to Martha's Vineyard and we love it. We always wish we could stay longer.
Terrible. You know why it's terrible? It's commercialized. It's like a McDonald's on Martha's Vineyard. There should not be anything like that on those islands. Nantucket, Block Island, they don't have any crap like that. You don't go out there and there's no Applebee's on Martha's Vineyard. You
I've
know?
never seen
There
that.
definitely is commercialized locations on Martha's Vineyard. And I'm telling you, Nantucket and Block Island blow it out of the water.
There's 4 Dunkins on Block Island to Martha's Vineyard 1, so that's why Nick likes
There's
it.
0 Dunks on Block Island, actually. There's not one chain on Block Island.
There's not one.
not one.
It's off the chain. I don't know. So John, I don't really care about Martha's Vineyard that much, but I kind of want to go. I feel like you wear a sweater tied around your neck a lot there, so I kind of want to go on a yacht with you. Like,
I think that's
does
more
your family?
Nantucket, actually.
Yeah. Does your
bit.
family have a beach home somewhere?
No.
Didn't you go to one as a kid? You said at my
Oh,
family.
we rented a beach house every summer when I was a kid. That was at the Cape.
Yeah, at the Cape. That's right.
Yeah.
He says to me, "Oh, I didn't grow up with any money." He's like, "But every year we went to the Cape with my whole family. We went to the Cape. Jonathan,
We
would you
rented
like
a
some
house
tea?
for a
We
week.
all sat around on Christmas for hours and hours and played board
Knitting
games.
sweaters, mother. Warm the fire.
Cara, they hate me and always rip on me because I say I like Christmas for spending time with family,
No,
and they're
'cause
like, "Oh, that's so stupid."
No, I rip on him because I was poor and I'm bitter, and he grew up with money.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
I didn't grow up with money. The other day,
You're
people
fine.
were talking about buying cars out here, and he's like, "Well, I didn't have parents that just bolt me new cars all the time." And I was like, "They didn't buy me a car. I bought my own first car."
No. But you have to understand, I was out when I was 18, and he's going to beach houses with his family when he's 18. You know.
That's true.
Cara, Martha's video. What do you think?
Overrated.
Overrated?
Oh, come on, Cara.
Super smart.
Listen, I love it, but we went the summer. They did a poor job of telling us that the ferry was not going to go out of one place, and we were stuck there. And I mean, it was miserable. They were doing the fireworks celebration. I think it was like the end of the summer. I don't know, sometime in August. Bad.
Miserable.
Spot on. Spot on. All right. Fenway.
Disappointed in you guys.
Fenway Park.
I think it's properly rated for sports. I think it's overrated for concerts. I think the acoustics at Fenway suck.
Awful
They're
concert
terrible. Terrible concert venue. But for baseball, I went for the first time 2 years ago, and it was awesome.
It's great.
It was like beautiful. The sun was going down. I was like, hey, I think I like baseball now.
It's the most nostalgic ballpark in America.
It definitely, yeah, it does. It does feel nostalgic. You're right about that.
I'm
yeah.
gonna say properly because the nostalgia, nothing beats walking out of the tunnel, like up to the seats, seeing the monster in front of you, the field. You really can't beat any aspect of it from the history and the nostalgia. But of all the ballparks I've been to, it is by far the least comfortable.
Yeah, get over it. Drink some beers and move
cramped
on.
and, you know. So I'm gonna say properly.
There's a theme here with Nick.
I know that they rag on each other constantly. And I'm stuck
brutal.
in the middle. I'm like the kid who watches mom and dad.
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
Absolutely brutal.
How many ballparks did you go to, like growing up? You think?
He actually travels a lot.
Oh, God. Don't
Not
answer
so
this
much
question,
anymore, but
John.
when
When I was in my late teens, early 20s, I went to Toronto, Baltimore, Washington, and Pittsburgh.
Nice. Yeah. So, oh, that's great. So you had a great relationship with your parents. You traveled all over.
Just stepped right
That was
into it.
That was with friends.
Oh, sure. Okay, sure.
Who funded that?
I'm sure he. Yeah. I'm sure he
I
paid for it
did.
himself at 17 to go to Baltimore. Anywho, so moving on. Next one.
Wachusett Mountain.
Ooh, Wachusett. You guys ever go to Wachusett?
Oh, yeah.
Ski, snowboard?
I learned to ski there.
Nope.
I think it's overrated, personally.
I'm gonna say overrated because I've never been.
You guys are just
I
miserable
think it's a
people.
bad mount.
We're miserable.
Underrated.
Underrated.
I'm with you, Nick. Underrated.
Okay.
For the proximity to where we are, it's a
Yeah.
decent little mountain. You know what I mean? It's not Yagu. Like, you can have a fun day at Wachusett Mountain and you don't have to drive 4 hours.
That's exactly
I'd
right.
rather drive up to New Hampshire.
I would too, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying there's like it's a convenience factor.
It's fair.
Yeah.
You're all about the convenience. That's why you hate Boston.
Boston Museum of Fine Arts.
Ooh.
And I spent a lot of time there.
Look at these uncultured swine.
I don't know that I've ever been there.
I don't
Look at
think I
that
have either.
chuckling there. I've never been to a museum of
Swine.
art. Are you kidding me?
I've been to the Children's Museum many times.
I've been there.
I believe that. Recently, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With
I
my
think
kids.
I think I've gone at least once a year the last few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to the new one? Museum of Ice Cream?
What's up?
Museum of Ice Cream in Boston?
What?
Yeah, it's like, look it up
I haven't been
I
to a
gotta check
museum
that
of
out.
There's a
ice cream.
museum of ice
What?
cream?
during break.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Great. We'll have to do that. Field trip.
I don't know where
Yeah.
it's located. I think it may be near Museum of Science, but
Yeah.
I'm guessing at that.
Okay, well, I guess move on from that's pretty crazy.
I'm going to say not rated.
Unlimited
I can't
ice
say
cream.
how it compares to other museums of fine arts. I would be speaking out of turn.
Okay, fair enough.
So
Yeah. Okay.
Nate put this list together. So
I do like the Museum of Fine Arts. I think it's underrated, but
Very
it's
cerebral.
fine. I didn't know I was in the room with classless bores. It's fine. So moving on. They laughed at me. You see, they laughed. They're like a museum of art.
it's just his little shtick. I'm so smart. You're so dumb.
It's
I'm
not my
so-
little shtick. It's just it plays out that way. You understand? Boston duck boat tours. What do we think? You guys, something more your speed probably than art.
Yeah, I think so.
Overrated.
Kara's on my side.
Have you done one?
No,
I haven't either.
I just think it looks stupid. I
Overrated.
have no interest.
Overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
way
always
overrated.
thought it was a very touristy thing to do. I never
People
did it when I
love
was
them.
there.
They love them, and I'm like, it's so stupid. It's
Yeah.
it's a what is it, amphibious vehicle or all terrain? Like goes.
What
through-
I do-
look how the wheels go up. It's
I
like,
do love how like the parade, duck boat tour. Like that's the thing. But other than that,
Yeah.
or the-
Overrated.
Yeah,
Overrated.
bring out the duck boats, when you win the championship. But other than that,
All right, I'm ready for the next one.
Cannolis.
Underrated.
Underrated. They're one of
Underrated.
the most delicious things on the planet.
Yep. Mics are modern.
oh, Kara's going over.
Over?
Those things should not be combined.
No.
They're so good though.
They are good.
No.
They're so
Like
good.
if I'm going to have a sweet, I want it to be completely sweet.
Yep.
No.
Are you Italian?
No.
Okay, well there you go.
Mics are modern.
I don't think mics are modern.
Modern pastry or mics.
I don't know what you're talking about, buddy.
It's like the two most famous spots for cannolis in Boston.
Buddy? No.
Mike's pastry?
I've been to Mike's, not Moderns. I
It's
don't
right
know
down the
what
road.
that is. I don't know. I haven't had Modern yet.
All right, then it's Mike's by default. Nate,
That's what you wanted to say.
You put the next one on. I don't even know what it is.
Oh,
so-
Portuguese steak. Have you had a Portuguese steak?
No,
Wow.
I had to Google what it was.
I'm the guys. Come on, really?
Sorry.
So I grew up in Fall River. That's probably why. So Portuguese steak is like a flat, like kind of a flank steak, right? But it's cooked in like roasted red pepper, like sauce with some butter, garlic. They have like whole chunks of garlic that are cooked with it, with fries that are steeped in this like clear broth and gravy. And then it's weird. There's a fried egg on there too. And then like you have like ketchup and you cut it all up and it like soaks together. It's like a beautiful medley of flavors. It's one of the most delicious things I've ever had in my life. It's like spicy. It's very garlicky. It's like a delicious meal. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's try one.
Disgusting.
All right, we'll get those on the way.
What? Okay, what about it? Sounds disgusting.
The ketchup and mixing it all up.
Okay, well, you don't have to, buddy. You can eat it whichever way you want.
You almost saved it with garlic, but I couldn't get over the ketchup and mixing it all
Well, you
up.
put ketchup on a burger, right?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
You don't?
I don't
What?
like ketchup.
You're a whack.
They only had Grey Poupon when he was growing up.
Don't like that either.
Mother, pass me the Grey Poupon.
The only condiments I like are barbecue sauce and hot sauce.
Oh, God.
and hot sauce.
I'm a barbecue guy.
Okay.
Fluffernutters also overrated, just like baked beans.
No, underrated.
Underrated
you
is
kidding me?
right.
Fluffernutters. I actually bought fluff. When's the last time you guys bought fluff?
Oh, not that long
Long
ago.
time, right?
No, I have two kids.
When's the last time?
I bought it not long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I did after like maybe 5 years. I hadn't had some, so I bought some and made fluffernutter sandwiches with the Wonder Bread. It's incredible.
With the
it's
Wonder
bread, it's absolutely incredible.
Make the sandwich.
Yeah.
Put it in the fridge.
Oh.
It adds something. I don't know what it is.
That's a move.
The cold.
Pro move.
That's a pro tip there. I didn't even think about that.
PB&J all day.
I like PB&J, but we're talking fluffernutters here, buddy.
Fluffernutters are overrated. Just give me the
Underrated.
jelly.
I'm nutty for fluffernutters.
All right, I added a hypothetical question in. I can't wait to hear John's answer to this one. You can only sell
Already?
homes using TikTok dances. You can't do written descriptions, no photos, just you and choreography to showcase the property. Or you can use one MLS photo and a written description, no virtual tours, no videos, no social media, but you have to also door knock to find buyers. Which strategy do you choose?
TikTok dances. Really? Oh, yeah.
I did not.
I
call
would
that.
never have thought
I would
that.
never
Really?
call that. That's
Really?
hilarious.
Oh, absolutely. You can show the whole house.
Yeah. Give us a
We
little
gotta see
preview.
this.
Give us a little preview of how you do it
No.
as you go through the house.
This is a
You do it.
podcast. I'm in the
You
chair.
think TikTok dances are going to sell the house better than door knocking?
Yeah.
I'm on number 2. I'm
because
door
you can
knocking all
actually
day.
show the house. Like the TikTok dance you're doing through the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can show the house.
But you can't talk to people. I think number 2, you can talk to people. Going back to the basics of the TTT and the TTMP, you use it like a deal of the week strategy. You start conversation. You have intrigue. What about that house through that amazing description and you talking to me face to face? Can I find out about this property? I'm going door knocking all day long.
You're right about that, but how many doors do you have to knock to find enough buyers?
Doesn't matter. I'll find more sellers too.
You also have to take into consideration who are you trying to sell it to. Is it a
Exactly.
$300,000 home or is it $1 million?
Yeah.
If
And
it's
what
$1 million,
generation?
you're taking your strategy. If it's 300, maybe you go for the younger generation.
Yeah, because TikTok would
Yeah, but
slay.
if it's that
with the Gen
expensive
Zs.
house, you reach the kids who say, "Mom, Dad, you got to see this house."
Which is how kids are buying houses
Yeah.
now. A lot of times, anyways. Yeah, it's fair.
I can't believe you said TikTok.
You can show the whole house.
Okay.
as opposed to one picture.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
TikTok. What do you think, Cara?
I'll go with John only if he does it for his next listing.
Yeah,
What?
come on.
Whoa,
give us a
whoa.
sample.
I think we go with that, right?
We got to try it.
Give us a sample
I
of
think
what
your
you would
next 3
do.
listings we can only use
My next
TikTok.
3.
All right, let's get into some elite retreat takeaways. So we just got back from Tom Ferry's elite retreat, quickly becoming one of my favorite events of the year.
Absolutely.
Though I'm not sure we're going to make it next year. I need to talk to you about that off camera. So
Oh, jeez, he's gonna kill you.
no, I got some different ideas on ways to structure our conference calendar.
You're dead, dude. You're dead. Yeah, I gotta talk to you after.
Not digging it.
We'll talk about it. Hey, Tom's opening Q&A talked a lot about pruning. What can we prune from our business in 2024 and then add? What can I no longer afford to do? Any color, John, or am I just rolling on?
I thought that was huge, actually, pruning in so many ways. But what is consuming and killing time in my days, and how can I become laser focused?
Love
And
it.
also just show up every day ready to slay.
Maniacal focus.
Maniacal focus.
Just kept giving me the...
I've been saying that like 10 times a day. I just come in here and I go, Nick,
Maniacal focus.
maniacal focus.
Like a maniac? Like focus
Yes.
like a maniac?
Yes.
Maniacs don't focus much, do they? Like unless they're in a padded room.
Only if it's maniacal focus.
I'm going on a
that's the
turn a little
dumbest
bit
thing.
right here. But it does play. Nate, you ready for a little exercise?
The podcast, by the way, and the videographer is going to be the first thing that they prune. So I can't wait.
Ooh, I
Can't
like
wait for
this.
that.
We're going to make Nate do it?
Yeah.
All right.
What? What do you
All right,
what?
ready?
What?
All right,
Yeah.
speaking about focus and the importance of it, you ready for this little exercise, Nate?
Sure.
Now, you're a very cerebral guy, self-professed, super smart.
Not true.
We're going to do a couple of different things. You can count to 26, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to have you count to 26, and I'm going to time you, see how long it takes, all right?
As fast as you can.
Ready? I'll give you a countdown.
Yeah.
On 3, 2, 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26.
Not bad.
6.16 seconds. Write
Solid.
that down, John.
6.1.
6.116. All right?
Oh, thanks, I guess.
You know the ABCs, right?
Yeah.
All right. You can say the ABCs
I
out
hate
loud.
this already. Yes.
Okay. Give me the ABCs, but you can't sing them. Like, say them. A,
Yeah.
B, C, D. All right, ready?
That's very difficult.
All right,
Okay.
ready? 3, 2, 1.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z.
4.1 seconds.
It's about on par.
Okay.
It's on par.
Now what I want you to do, Nate, is say the
Multitask.
Multitask. And I want you to give me the letter and the number. So we're gonna go A1, B2, C3, straight through to Z. You ready?
No.
3.
No, because no.
No, this is the we're gonna do it. Let's do
Okay.
it. 3, 2.
A, 1, A? A1.
A1,
Okay, okay.
A2. All right. Hold on, let me reset this. 3, 2, 1.
A1, 2, B, 3,
Nope,
C,
You already
nope,
messed
nope,
up.
nope. B2.
B2.
B2. Oh, A1, B2, C3, E. Okay, no, that's really
No,
difficult.
you
forgot
gotta
D.
finish it. Keep
Oh,
going.
come on. A1, B2, C3, D4, E, EF.
E
Fucking A.
5.
No, I'm not
E5.
doing this. This is
No, you gotta
stupid.
keep going.
No,
You can start
no,
with
I
E.
don't. I don't have to keep going. I'm
F-
done.
No, you have to finish.
No,
I'm
no.
not gonna. I'm walking off the podcast. if
That's
you don't
fine.
finish it.
That's fine. I can show you. All right, guys. Thank you
E5.
so much. And
That's a wrap on today's
That's a wrap.
episode of Shootin' the SHT. Be sure to subscribe where.
okay, good.
So
Tom
you were
made
not
a
a good.
girl stand up there for 6 minutes before she finally gave up.
Oh,
Yes,
that's stupid.
in front of
No.
the entire conference,
And
2,500 people.
She counted in about 6
Yes.
seconds, and she did the alphabet actually in 3 seconds. But as
Yeah.
soon as he had her do the second part, she was up there. Someone was trying to help her next to her, and after about 6 minutes, he finally let her give up.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't do that.
Yes.
For
And
the
now-
amount of money she's making, maybe, yeah.
She made no money. She was a random person from the audience who volunteered
Oh, you're not talking about one of the speakers?
No.
Oh, yeah, no.
in front of the entire conference. And she was like, "You can't make me keep doing this." He goes, "No, I'm making you." It was just,
I would have walked off.
and the point of the matter is, by trying to multitask,
Right.
you are so much less efficient. In fact, you make 50% more errors and you're 40% less effective.
Can you believe this? I could have told you that without embarrassing someone for 6 minutes straight.
I thought it
Yeah,
was a
but
great
that was
exercise.
that was evidence.
Don't wave your pen at me.
He's really.
You look stupid.
He didn't even
It's not like
I
you look stupid.
hate it. I hate
He's
it.
so pissed about this exercise.
He goes, yeah, it's evidence. Like he's a wizard, you know? All right.
Excellent.
Listen, when this
pissed.
episode comes out, that better be a part of it.
It will.
And
yeah,
you have to
okay.
tag Tom in it. So
Yes.
yes, absolutely. Collab with Tom. I bet he'll
I'll
accept
collab
it.
with him. Sure.
Anyway, he also mentioned that all great businesses have 7 things in common. I love Tom's keynotes because he always just reminds you of things you really already know, but simplifies it in a way that makes it truly digestible, in my opinion, and just kind of just a great reinforcement. But great brands, they have a great brand, they have a great product, which is our listings. A great flywheel for marketing, great communications and presentations, great innovative engine, a great team, including vendors like Cara, and a great operating system. So that's what all businesses have in common. All great businesses have those 7 things in common.
Absolutely.
And then simply, I love how, breaking it down to the most simple aspect possible. I mean, around here, we talk about TTP and TTMP, how that's the secret to business. And Tom had a very simple, ultimate success formula of get appointments, go on appointments, sign listing and buyer agreements, and rinse and repeat. It's really what it all boils down to. Not your TikTok dances, John. So,
All right.
There you go.
Moving on.
all right, awesome. So distraction-free action solves everything.
That's right.
Then we had a guest speaker. John, tell us about Terry Shootin.
Terry Shootin gave a multi 2-part keynote there on presentations and kind of inspired us to review and potentially revamp our listing presentation a bit, catering it to various audiences and various generations. If you're presenting to a millennial, they're probably not going to want the same style as a boomer, for example. So how do you cater to that? Or if you're speaking to a larger audience, touching on every aspect of it so you can relate to varying audiences. So
She
I thought that
mentioned
was very
the silent
impactful.
generation needing to slow down, connect emotionally. Boomers providing choices and meet socially. They love food, apparently. Meeting over lunch, over breakfast, over coffee. It's definitely the me generation, so you got to tailor things to them specifically. Gen X is direct and efficient. They're very skeptical overall. Millennials, since they grew up with technology, is you have to engage quickly because they are very used to scanning multiple things at a time. So you got to be concise there. And give relatable content. So that was one of her top ones. And she also mentioned the 7 most effective messages that work in today's market is how are you going to save them time? How are you going to save them money? How are you going to save their mental sanity? How are you going to have fun? She mentioned people pay to have fun. Think about vacations and those things. You need to make the process somewhat fun. How are you going to help them feel safe? How are you going to make things easy? And how are you going to do it faster? So those are the key points that people want to know in your presentation.
You have to pass the so what test.
Absolutely.
So if you present something, it has to be able to, if they just say, so what? What does it mean for them? How can it help them? So everything you present needs to pass the so what test.
And the key phrase is any feature dumping that you do. We're the X team in this market. We've done this amount of transactions. We have so much years of combined experience.
So what?
So what this means for you is that's the key phrase going for what this means for you is. She also talked about Aristotle. I know Nate knows all about Aristotle, but focusing on
Greek philosopher.
the ethos, logos, and pathos throughout our presentation. Please enlighten us, Nathan, on that.
Logos would be logic, I would imagine.
Yep.
Pathos would be, I think, pathology, so emotion,
Yep.
essentially. Ethos, I don't know about ethos. What is
Credibility.
that? Credibility.
Yeah.
Ethics?
Pretty good, though, Nate, I got to say. What'd you get in your SATs?
I didn't take them.
You didn't even take them?
No.
Wow.
No.
You're like Goodwill Hunting.
I am also the janitor around here, ladies and gentlemen. Nick just comes into algorithmic formulas on his whiteboard. What is going on?
John still hasn't seen that movie.
I'm an idiot savant, John, is what he's saying, basically. Oh, he hasn't seen Goodwill still?
No, he hasn't.
We did a whole bit.
We did a bit on it, and he still hasn't watched it.
It wasn't on the movie list.
Oh, I got it. Oh, have you watched the 3 Christmas movies, by the way?
I think so.
He thinks so.
It was a while ago. We need a new list. I've been asking you for a new list.
Okay. Don't worry, Johnny. Johnny Pooh, we'll get you a new list.
All right, before we end this, I want a new list. 3 movies to watch.
Okay.
Goodwill Hunting, one.
I'm down. One thing that, not surprising, I found it interesting how she went into it, but really not surprising, is the number one mistake that people make.
Don't ask for the business.
People invite realtors over to their house and say, can you please come talk to me and potentially list my home? And realtors will sit there and present to them for an hour and then walk away and say, okay, well, thank you for your time. Let me know what you think. And they just walk out the door without asking for the close because they're afraid to ask. But they were basically invited there to close.
They invited a real estate agent into their home. They're not going to be offended if you ask for the business. They're not going to be, oh my God, that realtor asked to list my house. Like, it's just like not at all going to be the case. So she's like, you don't have to have some fancy language or anything along those lines and some super efficient close that you've been trained on by some sales guru. Don't overthink it. Say, next steps from here for you would be this. Next steps from here for me would be this. Mm-hmm. Would you like to move forward? You know, it's really not difficult. Just ask for the business and people will get so much more business than they do already.
Yeah. So, Nick, I feel like this was the highlight of your 2 days was Rory Vaden.
I had a great time with this presentation.
Tell us a little bit about this one.
So Rory Vaden helps people build their personal brands. It was a pretty enlightening and fun talk. I did enjoy it very much so. He works with a lot of celebrities and entrepreneurs and whatnot. And really, he was talking about finding your uniqueness and really identifying that with one word. He's like, the best people that do this have like one word that really defines them. Mother Teresa's poverty, Dave Ramsey, debt. Tom Ferry went through a 2-day boot camp with them, and his one word that came out of that was revenue. Helps people grow revenue. Simon Sinek is purpose. What's your purpose? What's your why? So what's the one problem that I solve in one word? And that kind of drives everything that you do. Trying to avoid content chaos and letting that one word drive everything on that front. Talked about the content pyramid and how to repurpose content, which I love and I'm very excited to implement. One thing that was interesting too, is like a lot of people are trying to find all these side hustles and numerous different streams of revenue. And he was like, that's not how you get rich. He's like, all of these massively rich people did so by being the absolute best that they do with one
Specialization.
thing. And then once you become rich, then you can add multiple streams of revenue because you have the resources available to do so.
Ties into multitasking.
Yes. But
Maniacal focus.
Maniacal focus to become super successful, the best in your field at one thing. So I found it very enjoyable. I thought it was a good talk. Rory Vaden, follow him on social media. Definitely a good one there.
I think Nate is very concerned about this maniacal focus thing.
No, I just think it's really funny to keep saying it. It's really funny to keep saying it. It also,
I wake up in the night saying it now.
It also helps to, if you want to become a billionaire, to employ really unsafe labor practices. That usually works out really well, like
All
Tesla.
right, moving on.
Anyways, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, Elon.
Okie doke.
Ooh, they don't want to touch it.
All right, cool. All right, movies. Nate,
All
I'm
right,
looking
buddy.
at these. I want to see Good Will Hunting. I have seen Forrest
Please
Gump. It's been a
tell-
long time.
You haven't seen? You have seen Forrest Gump?
I have. It's been a long time.
Have you seen Pulp Fiction?
Have you seen Pulp Fiction?
I don't think so.
Oh yeah,
God.
buddy. You gotta see Pulp Fiction.
Thank you.
No, I've seen it.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I'm shaking my head at you.
How have you not seen Pulp Fiction? It's a
It's
classic.
like one of the best Tarantino movies.
Of all
Probably
time.
the best.
That's
in
a
my
top
opinion.
10 movie in
Yeah,
my-
absolutely. Absolutely. One of the best movies ever made. A Quentin Tarantino
Might be a
movie.
top 5
You ever
movie
watch
for
any
me, yeah.
Tarantino movies? I don't think you're a Tarantino guy, really, huh?
Me? Oh, yeah.
No, John. Django Unchained? No?
I
Inglourious
love
Bastards?
Tarantino, but I
I may
don't
have
love the
seen
Kill Bill
that.
movies.
Oh, okay, fair enough. They're very stylized. I like them, but they're very stylized, yeah.
Reservoir Dogs. Great
Reservoir
movie.
Dogs, great. It's his first feature. Wow. Okay, John, that's fine. We should watch Pulp Fiction.
You guys act like this is breaking news.
John, Pulp Fiction is like one of the. It's on TV every day practically.
I
and
have
you
a-
can't watch that one. You got to watch the real one.
Did you ever want to be cool? Is my question. Like, I don't mean that so derogatorily. I mean, like, when I was a kid, I listened to Nirvana, or I watched movies that I thought were cool because I thought, oh, I kind of want to be cool. Like, you growing up, do you not have the inclination to
my days were like go to a friend's house, play football, run around the woods,
I played
do whatever
sports.
kids do.
I did that stuff
sports,
too.
and then
Yeah.
at night it was usually like we've talked about this, like
smoke cigars?
smoke cigars. Yeah, that's up there. But it was more TV, TGIF.
TG. Yeah.
How did you never watch Pulp Fiction?
What are we talking about? Andy Griffith Show? Leave It to Beaver? What kind of stuff are we talking about?
Urkel. It was like Urkel, Family Matters.
Urkel, Family Matters, Boy Meets World.
Yeah, Topanga over there.
Yeah.
That's your style, right?
Topanga, yeah. Okay, fair enough. So we've solved that.
You've
so
known this.
Definitely watch Pulp Fiction, Good Will Hunting,
That
and Forrest Gump. Give it a revisit.
Oh, I
nice,
will.
heartwarming classic. It's kind of have Pulp Fiction sandwiched in between two very heartwarming movies. I think you'll like it, and we'll report back.
All right, looking forward to it.
Cool.
It blows my mind. You have not seen
It's,
either of those top two movies.
What can you do?
Insane. All right, that's a
Why
wrap
do
on
you always
today's.
act surprised?
These are not like
Rate it.
It's not from the deep vaults here, John. These are movies that are on TNT every night.
So, Cara, we at the end of each episode we rate this podcast. How did we do on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being could never possibly be any better, and 1 is we should just pack it up and get rid of all our podcast equipment.
I can give like decibels, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
oh,
It's a
yeah.
pro move.
Pro move.
8.2.
Whoa, it's a big number.
She got just over the line. If it's
did.
under an 8, you have to explain.
Nice.
But I didn't want to say that and force her over the
Yes.
line. So, all right. Solid.
Find it entertaining.
I love this episode. I had a lot of fun. I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
Whoa.
This is a good episode. This is a very good episode.
I'm with Nate Dogg. I think it was a 9.3.
Yeah.
Those are big numbers.
Hell yeah.
I thought it was a great episode, but 8.4.
4. Okay, that's fine. This is the average.
I'd like to leave room for improvement. I thought this was great.
He'll never be
8.4.
He'll never be
He'll never be,
satisfied.
no.
He'll never be
I'm
satisfied.
satisfied. I just like to leave room for improvement.
When you go to restaurants and the waiters ask, "How was your meal?" Do you go, "I like to leave room for improvement."
No, I'm polite. I don't have to be polite to you too.
Great, cool.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great
Kara,
day.
thanks for joining
Yes,
us.
Kara,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you again
Appreciate
once
it.
again to Shoreham Bank for sponsoring the podcast. Guys, please like, share, subscribe. We're available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And it's Shootin the SHT. Thanks again. And we are out.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Shootin' the SHT. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. And if you enjoyed this content, please share it with others and leave us a rating and a review. Buying, selling, or want to connect with Nick and JT? Visit Slocum Home Team on Facebook and Instagram or slocumhometeam.com. We'll see you next time.